Welcome back to the Wildest Ride podcast. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Disneyland's 70th anniversary and what Disneyland means to us personally. I am your host, Brian California, and with me today, Big Texas.
Hey, howdy, hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Brian?
What's happening?
I had to go get a haircut, but I don't think they got the memo that that I was black. If they
oh boy. They gave you the LeBron James, man.
Bro, they gave me a Dominican haircut, bro.
They did.
Like literally, I had my beard. It was like very light right here. I'm like, bro, you gotta shave that. I can't. I'm not going out like that.
Did you walk in being like, "Hey, papi, give me a haircut"?
Oh no. So like usually when my hair probably grows out about every 2 months or so. I probably should do a better job of getting out every month, but dude, life happens and stuff like that. So about every 2 months I go to the barber, and yeah, dude, he did a good job. It's just that was the only part I was a little like, all right, bro, it's too light right here where it's very like where you see my beard is thick.
Right.
It got to be just one stride.
I haven't had a haircut since I went to Florida in November, so my hair's pretty long right now.
Oh, bro, I gotta get that haircut.
I just like I don't unless I'm doing something like going on vacation or go like in a wedding, I just let it grow.
Number 2 all around. Years ago, this had to be 10 years ago, because I didn't have a car when I moved down to Disney when I was working at the doing the Disney college program, so I did consider getting a haircut at Magic Kingdom, which you can do.
Yeah. You could also get it with glitter.
But I wouldn't do it because it's just I think it would be hard for me to get a haircut. You know?
Yeah, I already pay $50 every time I get a haircut, so I'm not trying to pay anything else.
Oh, bro,
anything more.
It is $40, which I still think that's kind of crazy.
It's a crazy price, but you got to think about it. Some people take about 2 hours every time, so they're making about $20 an hour cutting hair. You know,
it probably took him he had to go back and fix it. If he didn't have to do all that, it probably should have took him 30 minutes, and I ended up giving him $65.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money for a haircut,
bro. You gotta take care of your barbers, bro.
Hey man, you come down next time, I will buzz you all the way around. But I got you, bro.
You gotta take care of your barbers. You gotta take care of your barbers and your bartenders.
True. Yeah, keep pouring them. So what's happening, man? Are you ready for the 70th anniversary or what?
Well, not as ready as you are. As you're going tomorrow.
I'm pretty pumped, man. Like this is an event. I haven't been excited for an event as much as this one in a while.
Dude, I didn't think at first Disney was going to put that much hype into the 70th, but I feel like they're putting maybe not as much hype as they did for the 60th, but it's pretty hype when, I would think the 75th is probably a bigger milestone.
Yeah, but they like doing these like 10 anniversaries every 10-year type thing. Like the 60th obviously was like the best one they've ever put on. So, you think about it, the 65th I was kind of expecting something, or the 65th, and
they did do something a little bit for the 65th. I think they came out with a Spirit jersey.
Yeah, but I'm saying like now they're making this whole event, and what it is, it's easier for them because every 10 years they can put on an event like this. I don't know if they can do it every 5 years.
Well, what I'm saying is you wouldn't do it every 5 years, but I would think the 75th would be a bigger anniversary than the 70th.
Yeah,
and they might. I'm gonna stick to that and say that it will be, because I think within 5 years one of those major rides are gonna open.
Yeah,
and they're gonna center the like they would have did for the 50th, 60th for us. They're gonna center it around a major ride.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just which ride opens first.
So if you were to bet, man, what would you say?
Uh, Probably Avengers.
Yeah, it's gonna be Avengers. I think they're gonna, but it's Disneyland, not DCA, so it's Disneyland 75th. I
But
guess you can.
Disneyland is a part of. I mean, DCA is a part of Disneyland Resort. So
Yeah, yeah. I guess you could pull it in that way.
here's what I think. We're getting way far over our heads and stuff, which is cool. That's what we do on the wilderness, right? But here's what I anticipate. You'll probably get a new nighttime parade at probably at Magic Kingdom. Not being at Disneyland. Uh, you'll probably get some type of new fireworks show,
Yeah,
and they're gonna center it around one of the anniversary around one of these new rides.
yeah. I could see that.
You know, you probably hell, if you could do it quick, you could probably just open up those two Avengers attractions together, and that's your 75th right there.
You know what I'm really hoping for, and I think we've talked about this in the past. I'm hoping to just come in with a 24-hour day for the 75th.
They should. They really should. I would go. I would.
Yeah,
I would do. I don't think they would ever do a 24-hour day ever again. Just because I never experienced a 24-hour day over at Disneyland. I worked it at Disney World, and I think the going consensus was that it was just too much.
yeah. I think at Disneyland, because it's like a local thing, I think you could just pop in and out whenever you wanted. So I think it worked out pretty well. I was actually just texting with a buddy, actually my buddy that I did that event with last time for the 60th. Just hit me up and it was like, "Hey, remember when we did the 24-hour day at Disneyland?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it was just like I thought about it. I was like, they really should just do it again. I want to say I spent like 19 hours in that park. It was pretty crazy. And I think after like noon or 11 o'clock, you couldn't even get in.
Well, maybe I think the issue was so when they were doing the 24-hour day, they were just trying to add all the new stuff. Like, what was that the debut of Paint the Night in Disneyland Forever?
Uh,
I think
yep.
I think that might have been the problem. You were doing too much, so then it was too much of a demand to get into Disneyland. Where over if you go to Magic Kingdom, they had I don't even know if they had special. They probably did have some special meet and greets. They had a lot of dance parties, but it wasn't
Yeah.
on the scale of what Disneyland was doing.
So I find it weird because they did the same thing with the 60th, where they started it a few months before the actual anniversary, and they're doing that again this year with the 70th because obviously July 17th is the actual anniversary. But I I don't know. It's just weird to me that the availability is it, there's a lot of availability for tomorrow still. Like you can still kind of finagle a day and get a reservation for tomorrow because it kind of just really it all kicks off tomorrow. Like everything that they're selling, like that they're bringing in for the actual anniversary, all of it's going to be available tomorrow. I
Are
thought it was
you
going to be way more in demand, but
are you rope dropping and closing the park
I
down?
we are gate to gate, bro. That's it, man. We're going from the start to finish. We're gonna be there all day.
Are you just staying at Disneyland?
We've talked about this. We don't know. We have goals in mind. We wrote down on kind of a little bit of a list of things we want to accomplish. And if we've kind of gotten through them and we're kind of getting over being there because we know it's going to be crowded, obviously. We might swing over to DCA for a bit, just to see what's going on there. But for the most part, most of the majority of the day, we're going to be at Disneyland for sure.
Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. All right, so
We've
try
even
to
talked about
walk
booking a hotel room.
try to walk try to walk us through what your plans are for tomorrow.
Okay, so I did write them down. You know what? I don't have that little paper. Or do I? I do. I do have this paper. So I wrote it down, and the first thing I wrote down was do the vlog intro from the centerpiece of the big old statue centerpiece that they put up in the promenade, and then we're gonna go. We want to really look at all the 70th decor, so all the stuff that they put up around the park. the castle and all that stuff. We wanted to go take a look at that.
Dude, that castle's gonna probably look gorgeous at night.
Yeah, yeah, and they're doing
I
a lot of
re-
projections, so we'll
I
see.
remember the first time I saw the castle at night. Okay, so when you first see the castle as a first time person, like
Uh
first
huh.
time going, it's a little underwhelming because I one thing I've known is Cinderella's castle.
Right.
I have not got myself acquainted with Sleeping Beauty's castle. But then once you get to see it at night, it's the mixture of the pink with the blue, and it's just the little touch for me is the sparkle. The
Yeah, it's
sparkle
pretty
at
stunning.
night, it's just like it's almost breathtaking. I can't explain it. It's just one of those things. It's like, okay, this is when I put that castle on par with Cinderella's castle. During the day, yeah, don't look at it.
Yeah.
But at night, that's when it is gorgeous.
So you got to think about it from like a person like me who's been to Disneyland a million times, and the first time we went to Magic Kingdom and we rounded that corner, I have it on video. The first time we rounded that corner and saw Cinderella's castle, we were like, oh, every single one of us was like, holy shit! Like it's just
Yeah.
massive. It's a different thing. Just Disney World in general, the scale of Magic Kingdom is wild, and it kind of takes a little bit of a time to get used to it when you're a Disneyland person. You know, somebody that grew up going to Disneyland and seeing like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty Castle your whole life, and then you turn that corner, and you see that monstrosity, that Cinderella castle. It's kind of wild. So yeah, you can imagine it being the opposite. You go to, you're a person that goes to Disney World most of your life, and then you go to California for the first time. You're like, what the hell?
Uh, Dude, it was so weird seeing Space Mountain off the highway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's the Matterhorn. You can see the
Oh
Matterhorn. You
yeah,
can see off the highway. Yeah,
yeah. At that point, I was a big like Disney snob. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm seeing this on the highway. But this is why Walt did what he did with Disney World.
hmm,
You know, he wanted to keep everything uh, secluded. You know, like hey, you have to go through the monorail. You got to go through the ferry, and then when you get that first glimpse, when you go through the turnstile at Magic Kingdom,
yep,
there she is.
yeah, yeah. It's
It was
that
it was brilliant.
yeah, that whole idea of because that's the part that's that's immersion, right? That's the part of it that he wanted is do you want to get so you want to be secluded from the outside world, you don't want to be you want to be transformed into a different universe basically. So
Which I still feel that when I'm in Disneyland, but you get more of that when you're at the other parks and stuff like
100%.
that.
Just drive the first time driving on property, you're like, you're expecting to see parks everywhere, right? Because you're like, oh, we're on Disneyland, we're on Disney World property, cool. Where are the parks at? They're like, oh, they're literally hidden, like you can't see them. So driving up to Epcot, you can't even see Spaceship Earth for a little while, and then you see it kind of peek out, and then the only thing you can see from Epcot is really the Guardians building, that monstrosity shoebox thing that's the Guardians building, but
Yeah.
like
As
Disney
much
World, you can only see it really when you hit that corner around going through the ferry. I mean, once you see that, you're like, "Holy crap!" That's when you realize how big that castle is. When you're about to get on the ferry and you see it clearly, that's crazy.
yeah. As much as I hate TTC, they did do a good job with the immersion of once you've stepped foot in Magic Kingdom, you are in a different world.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and all that outside BS is for the outside.
I
You
would
know,
like. I like Magic Kingdom because it feels like an adventure. Even like, let's say we're getting Uber dropped off at TTC, like you're walking up, going. You have to take a ferry, you have to take a monorail to get there. And like so it feels like an adventure. I would hate it as a local. Like as a local, I'm like, dude, this is a process, bro.
that's what I was about to say. I think if it's your first time visitor, it is a rite of passage you go through TTC.
Yeah.
You know, because the monorail, when I was a kid, I loved the monorail. Riding the monorail, because, okay, so we weren't staying on Disney property. We were staying on the outskirts, so we had to get on a bus. And then if you wanted to go to Magic Kingdom, I think the bus did not drop you off at TTC. I think he dropped you off at Epcot. So
Mm,
essentially, we had to do like two transfers.
right.
And so to me, I still thought that was awesome because like it's just you get on a monorail to take you to Magic Kingdom. Can't explain it, but as a 31 adult that's been who's been to Magic Kingdom multiple times, I hate the monorail.
Yeah. Even on our trip, like we went to Magic Kingdom twice, and that second time I was like, I'm kind of over this monorail, man.
If I was staying at a Magic Kingdom hotel, I would definitely like it more, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But as a local who has to park at TTC, and then you have to make the choice if you want to take the ferry or the monorail, which I would say take the monorail every single time. Um, it could be a little annoying. But going back to Disneyland, tell us about the day.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that we wanted to do that. We wanted to do the decor. Like that's basically like the first thing we want to do is just kind of soak it in a little bit, and then we want to go get the magic key. Have you seen this magic key thing? This new like I don't even know what to call it. Like
Oh, it looks like a Keyblade.
yeah. First thing
Yeah,
we
I've
want to
seen
do
it.
is purchase one of those and kind of go around and see if we how many of those. I don't even know what they're called. I guess just key points we can find
Yeah.
and then try to get that. So you get a pin in it, which is one of whatever lands. How many I don't even know how many lands Disneyland has, but it's one of like 12 pins or something that you can get into that thing. So it's crazy. If you want to get this pin collection, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to get this pin collection. But
So you have to do the key thing in order to get the pins.
the pin is in the key, and then and you can only unlock the pin by doing all the touch points, which is kind of crazy, but it's cool because it's like an adventure. You have to go on a scavenger hunt. So we're planning on doing that, at least purchasing that first. We might not do the entire scavenger hunt first because we really want to see what it's going to take to get and go see the Walt show because the Walt
Let me
animatronic.
ask you: you think are they doing? Are you? Can you just wait in line, or is it going to be a virtual queue?
I don't know. I have no clue. So I'm very curious on what we have to do when we get there. So that might be the first thing we do is actually go check out that whole situation and find info on what we're gonna have to do to go watch that show.
My next question is: we're going to have this podcast. We will have this podcast out before he goes to Disneyland tomorrow. So
Hmm.
you, make sure you get worked on today. But are we going to be able to go live with you? Are we going to be able to watch live?
I'm I so I'm thinking I'm gonna do a vlog, so an actual vlog, obviously, and then I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the day I'm gonna go live.
Are you going to try to do the fireworks?
We're gonna try to do paint the night and the fireworks. So
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna try to do both.
Let me
I
know. Text me when you do that, and I will hop on so I can watch it.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
probably go live and for that.
I'll bring a battery with me so I can have my phone charged. So I can I'll try to, even though I'm not there with you physically, I'll be there with you.
Hey, yeah, like I said, it's gonna be yeah. There's a lot. I'm to be honest, I'm getting very anxiety thinking about all the crap I have to do, like the preparation for it, and I'm trying to make sure I cover everything and see everything that we want to see. But for sure, I'm gonna go live a few times throughout the night and try to get some of the cool the cooler stuff covered, and being able to interact with people online and stuff like that. So we'll definitely do another closeout live for sure, closing out the park. On the first day of the 70th
Does
anniversary,
if Disneyland closes at 12?
midnight, maybe. Yep.
Okay, so we have the Walt show.
Hmm.
Did they say how long that show was?
No, but I'm assuming it's going to be similar to what Abraham Lincoln was.
So probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
All right,
and
so we
and
have
there's no rotation as of right now. So right now it's only the Walt show, and for a few months, I'm supposed, until people get it out of the system, and then they bring back the Lincoln show.
and then they're doing so. Okay, so here's the next question: You think they're going to be celebrating the 60th for the whole year?
Oh, it's gonna go on for a year for sure. I think it's like the 60th went like a year and a half.
Dude,
So
oh yeah, the 60th went for a very long time. So I
uh,
would imagine the 70th. I don't know if that was like I said. I don't know how Disney prioritizes the 70th for Disneyland.
yeah,
But it looks like they are making a big deal out of it because they had the judges from American Idol. It looks like they were almost like grand marshals, but they were just dappered up and took pictures with the. Is it with the opening float?
yeah. Oh yeah, it's the cavalcade, or well, yeah, the opening float for Paint the Night, and then they also had the cavalcade. So they have a daytime cavalcade. I might go live for that too.
I think Morrow might also be out there.
I'll look for them.
I saw he posted a video yesterday about him being at DCA.
Oh yeah, no, all the
So,
influencers out. They invited all the influencers out.
which I was a little surprised because I thought he would have been in Philadelphia, but
Right. Come on, you can't pass up. You can't pass up Disney. Like when Disney invites you somewhere, you can't pass that up.
oh yeah, I'm not saying I'm shocked, but
Yeah,
I thought he would have been in Philadelphia for Roosevelt's, but I and Disney. And you're right. Disney invites you to go somewhere. You take the invite.
yeah, you have to. I don't think as much as Roosevelt's is dope. It's like you're taking the Disney invite, especially for something a major event like this, and you're getting the scoop on all this. You're gonna get first dibs at like merch and stuff. So you got to take this invite.
Yeah. Do you see Duffy? Duffy's part of the cavalcade.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
So they're
very
doing a cavalcade during the day.
cavalcade during the day and a parade at night.
Hell yeah! Hell
Yeah,
yeah!
so they're going for it, man, for
So they're
sure.
running a
There's a lot.
cavalcade. Are they running the daytime parade as well?
No, just the cavalcade. They have the Pixar parade, the Pixar Friends parade at DCA. That's what they're going to be running during the day.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to think what else is unique that's going to be there for the 70th.
Obviously going back like the merch. They have 5 new Magic Bands coming out. I want to go look at them, see if I like any of these new Magic Bands. There's new Magic Band touch points, so there's like interactive stuff. You can go to like Jungle Cruise, touch a thing on a locker, and it spits out like a little card for you. So there's gonna be like 5 or 6 of those. So bring your Magic Bands. That's another thing.
Can I say this?
What's that?
I think Disneyland does a better job. This is stupid to say. Disneyland does a better job with Magic Bands than Disney World ever did.
Well, Disney World, you could do your hotel and all that stuff with. If you're doing all that, yeah, it's probably better at Disney World. For a while, we could only tap our fast pass and get into the park. That was it. That was all we can
I
do with them.
I just like it's basically their version of the Power Up at
Yeah, yeah,
Universal, and I feel like that's the way to go. Power Up
yeah,
is like if you can do interactive games around Disney World, Disneyland, dude, that's just another thing that people can do. So that's
yeah.
something I want to see uh, Disney just do more, and you could do that in the queues of rides.
Hmm.
Overall, you can even. It's a better. I can think it's a way that you can tell stories more in the queues.
Yeah, yeah. They definitely. So Disneyland's starting to get a little more interactive. I think, especially with the Magic Band. They're like, if we're gonna sell Magic Bands, we're gonna have to have them do more than just get them into the park and do their Genie Plus. Like that's just a waste of $45 if you're doing that. You can do it with you can do it with your iPhone or your iWatch or your Apple Watch. Um, but
Fair.
there's also a new scene in the Small World that I want to go check out, which is a new Coco scene.
Oh, that's
Um,
right.
So that's another one that I wrote down that I'm like, we got to go do that. That opened up 2 days ago, I think. Yeah, it opened up 2 days ago. So I haven't seen the scene yet. I heard somebody talking about it, so I really want to go look at it.
The more superior Small World.
It's longer. I don't know if that makes it more superior.
Bro, okay. It is the more superior Small World, but that Christmas overlay, it might be one of the best overlays I've ever seen, period. I might like that overlay more than I like Haunted Mansions.
Oh, well, maybe. Haunted Mansions becomes a whole brand new ride. You know what I mean?
Brother,
Like,
I feel like that's a whole brand new ride. What are you talking about?
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That ride, like, dude, it was so. I was just so mesmerized because that was literally the last season I needed was Christmas season, and then I can officially say I've done every overlay that Disneyland had to offer of anything. And that one, I'm glad it was like saving the best for last type deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the so for the 70th, they're putting new projections onto Small World, which is that's gonna be interesting. What's up,
Real
Casey?
quick. Oh yeah, I was gonna say real quick. Casey's joined the chat. Just
Hello, hello. Sorry
just
about that.
just to catch you up, we are talking about what's the current offerings for Disneyland 70th right now. And
Ooh,
Brian,
nice.
you were just talking about.
Oh, I was just talking about Small World. So I was the new Coco scene and the projections onto the building. So pretty
Mm,
excited for that.
yes, yeah. Keep going. I'll jump in when it works for me, but don't let me disrupt the flow here.
No, we're almost done. And then the food and snacks. Just want to go check all that stuff out. And then obviously paint the return of Paint the Night and Wondrous Journeys, which is my favorite fireworks show. I think that and Disneyland Forever are pretty close to each other, but I think Wondrous Journeys is kind of like I think it's taken the first spot for me.
Is that the one with Baymax?
Yeah.
Yes.
Casey, you took us to that show, right?
Yep. Yeah, I did. Did we sit down in the benches in front of
We
the
did.
castle in the
We did.
VIP seating? Yeah.
Yes.
So
This is when you had special privileges.
when I had the special hookup, yeah. So little bit of context. I've worked with Disney for 7 years, variety of different roles, but one of them was a VIP tour guide and then also a lead for VIP tours while I was there. So luckily I had, on certain days, depending on capacity, the access to sit in the seating in front of the castle. That was roped off for VIP tour guests. So got Christian out there for one of those, thankfully. And yeah, Wondrous Journeys, absolutely my favorite show. I like it more than Happily Ever After, which I know is sacrilegious to say for some, especially Florida folk.
It is not sacrilegious to say. I tell people Happily Ever After is just an okay show. Like, it's good, but...
Mm-hmm.
What was the show that we watched at Magic Kingdom when we went?
It's probably Happily Ever After.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Tinkerbell Fly in that show.
Yeah,
at the end. Yeah, that's Happily Ever After.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. I think the vantage point too where we watched it didn't help, but it didn't blow me away.
Wishes is superior.
Never seen Wishes.
Brother, when you get a chance, go on YouTube, go put on Wishes, you'll enjoy it. Because here's my thing about Wishes: you can watch Wishes anywhere in the park, and you get the same feel. Happily Ever After, you have to be around that castle to get the
projection mapping.
Yes, and I hate it.
Yeah, because we watched it from the Tomorrowland Bridge, so it didn't really have the same effect.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I would agree with y'all. I think Wonders and Disneyland Forever are probably tied for me. If we're talking about specialty fire, I actually really do like the Pixar fireworks show that they do for Pixar Fest.
Oh yeah, the Pixar Fest fireworks are pretty dope.
I think that's pretty good. I saw the Halloween fireworks, which are basically Hollow Wishes.
It's Hollow Wishes. It pretty much is. Yeah.
Hollow Wishes. So I'm always happy to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a new World of Color coming out too, so I'm excited to see that. I know that the World of Color 1, which had still been there, that was the heir apparent to Wondrous Journeys. Those were the Disneyland 100 shows that they should have kept Wondrous Journeys longer, like this whole time, and gotten rid of World of Color 1. But I think World of Color 1 is a harder show to like produce, like World of Color in general, with the amount of moving pieces there. So excited to see what this new one is. I think just the previous World of Color 1 didn't have like a great story flow. It just felt like they were throwing a movie scene here 3 minutes, movie scene here 3 minutes that had nothing to do with each other. So
it really
that was the biggest thing. It was lazy on the storytelling, and Wondrous Journeys is just like it doesn't go too long. Like Happily Ever After, I think, is a little long because that's about a 22-minute show. Wondrous Journey is about 15-ish minutes, which I think is the sweet spot for modern day attention span out there. And there is no filler throughout that entirety of it too. Song's a banger. Just can't say enough about it. I'm actually going next Thursday. I'm getting signed in from a friend who is has a spouse pass of a Silver Pass individual, so she can sign us in, has no problems doing so, and I'll get to see Paint the Night and Wondrous.
Hell yeah, Casey gets to go back to Disneyland.
I know, right?
Like this was like my dream. Like I had put an all-star team of parades and fireworks shows together, and obviously Wondrous Journeys with Paint the Night is, dude, that's the vibe, man. That's a serious. That's a big nighttime show.
Mm-hmm. I also have a strong affinity for Magic Happens, just because I was working a ton when that first came out and everything. So I got to see it each day, and spoiler alert, see it with different people as different characters out on the route and everything too. So I was like, oh, this is the Cinderella I like, or oh, this is the, I wish it was this person's sick today because this is the backup or something like that. So I got to develop a higher behind the scenes like connection with it, which made me like it that much more.
Is that Todrick Hall's show?
Yes. Yeah, that's Todrick's. That's the one that debuted, I want to say, a couple months before the shutdown, and then was brought back after all of that litigation controversy with that. So I think Todrick was trying to sue Disney for for breach of contract, because Disney did not uphold their end of the contract to play his song in their parks X amount of times per day when the world was shut down. And so I forgot the whole act of God piece of that piece, but Mm-hmm.
I will say great parade, but every time I watched it, I would say the more I watched it, the less parade piece would be in it. So like Maui would be missing one time, or Moana or Coco or something. The dragon would be, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like something would be missing, and it was just kind of annoying. I'm like, I think I only watched it in full twice.
Hey, speaking of dragon, has y'all dragon got fixed yet?
We don't talk about that.
Brian, are you West Coast or East Coast connected here?
West Coast.
West Coast. Okay, cool. So Disneyland, Disneyland Resort's your kind of home resort right now. Then
he'll be there. He'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, sweet! Look at that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So I'll be there tomorrow and Saturday.
Get a spot nice and early. It's opening weekend for all this stuff.
What's the thing you're looking forward to the most, Brian and Casey, since you are both Disneyland people?
I would say honestly, the Walt show, the Walt animatronic show. I don't know why. It's calling me.
You think it's gonna deliver?
I mean, I think it's gonna hit you like in the feels. Like anytime you hear Walt Disney talk about Disneyland anywhere, it kind of hits you. But then you're gonna have like a physical representation of him, and him talking about it's gonna hit.
That's a great take and much better than mine, because I was just going to say Wondrous Journeys Paint the Night, as we've been talking about, not to sound too one-dimensional, but, I growing up at Disneyland Resort, like going with my mom and then friends, it was always, let's go on all the rides and then let's, go get $1.29 Buffalo Ranch McChickens on the way back. So that way we don't have to spend money on food here. So it wasn't until I moved to Florida and spent a few years down there, met Christian, and really saw what else was there, in terms of offerings with the Disney experience. Like they obviously have the hotels, resorts and stuff down there, which is cool, but just like table service dining is incredible at Walt Disney World. That opened up a whole new world. The entertainment offerings down there made me more interested in the offerings here. So when Paint the Night was the first parade that really blew my socks off. That wasn't like a holiday parade, like the Christmas Fantasy Parade or Halloween, things that are seasonal, that are fun like that. But in terms of typical offerings, Paint the Night was the first one that did it for me. And Wondrous Journeys was the one that came out, was incredible during my favorite time of working for the Walt Disney Company. So I'll remember that kind of moment forever. So that's where it's at. But the Walt Disney Show is way more of a high IQ answer. So I appreciate the hell out of that. and in Florida too, with Walt Disney Presents, I always, whenever I'm in Hollywood Studios, go watch that video in that theater. And there's always about 8 people in there. Yep. But I never don't get at least teary-eyed, like listening to Walt talk about the early days and the whole process and everything.
It has mad air conditioning in there.
That too.
So what does Disneyland mean to y'all?
Oof, it's a loaded question, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
it's the 70th. We're celebrating 70 years of Disneyland. So you gotta ask the question: what does Disneyland mean to y'all?
I think the obvious is the nostalgia point, the nostalgia part of it. Obviously, going with my mom and my aunts early on, like my earliest memories, to be honest with you, are probably of Disneyland. Like I remember going on Autopia. I remember going on People Mover, going on Sky Buckets. I was 5 years old when they closed, but I remember those. It's just growing up with that park and watching it grow with you. I remember Rocket Rods. Rocket Rods was a failure, but it was like my favorite ride as a kid. So it's just it was just like every time we would plan a trip with my cousins and we would be on the 5 freeway and we were getting off a harbor, because back then you parked off a harbor. There was no DCA back in the day. That was a parking lot. You get off a harbor and you park, but just getting off of that freeway and the excitement that filled that entire car was, that energy can't be matched. As a kid, when you're a kid and you're going to Disneyland, there's no feeling like that. And I think growing up in Southern California, obviously, there's the perk is you go to Disneyland, you're a Disneyland kid, and you kind of turn into a Disney adult because of it, because you're trying to relive that feeling every time you go, that you're trying to recapture that excitement, that, like just no worries in the world that day. It's literally boom, like you're going to have the best time of your life. And I think just Disneyland's just escapism for a lot of people who are, going through some certain things. And I think it just helps a lot of people, get through tough times and things like that. And for me,
would you say that Disneyland in some way, shape, or form raised you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like we got passes, I would say probably when I was about 9-10 years old, and I never got tired of the place. It's rare. I lived across the street from Knott's Berry Farm my entire life, and I didn't want to go anymore. I got tired of Knott's Berry Farm. I never got tired of Disney. Like it's just there's so much to do, so much going on. I was there for the opening day of DCA 1.0, the infamous 1.0 DCA. It was like the worst park ever built. But
I loved that era, though.
I loved it.
The Beach Boys and the organ music and the big old sun in the front. You go get your tortilla, throw a salt packet on it, and everything.
This is why I wanted to talk to Californians, because y'all see Disney. Y'all, even though Disneyland raised y'all, you also see Disneyland grow up.
Yeah.
In the past 70 years. So you've seen it in its heyday with Disneyland. You've seen it when DC8 1.0 with DC8 2.0 with the different bosses in charge and stuff like that. So you notice the culture and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we went from petting goats to riding the Millennium Falcon. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of what we did. It was just Disneyland's changed so much in the last 20 years, 25 years, and it's just some for the better, some for the worse. You know, admit. But
what is for the better and what's for the worse?
oh, I mean, obviously, taking out the People Mover is the worst thing that's ever happened. I would say that's for the worst, but no, I mean, you know,
Absolutely.
Galaxy's Edge, you know, it as much as people hated the fact that it was being put into that park, if I think it fits great. I think it fits better there than it does at Hollywood Studios, you know, and
I agree.
it's just I don't know. There's just certain things, and then like we said, we talked about DCA 2.0 when they put in Buena Vista Street. It's a vibe. It's great. Like I think
Cars
that
Land right
and
after
Cars
that
Land,
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
huge.
So they piggybacked off each other. It was like 2012 when they built that
Hmm.
stuff. It was great. It was the best. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that Imagineering's done that's been great at Disneyland, and to shoehorn a lot of that stuff into that small area it's great. Like they've done such a good job with it. Yeah, some of the favorites of the past have had to go because of it, but you know, progress, like Walt said, it's not a museum, you know. So
Hmm. I think that's the biggest thing that, especially people that are a little older that I know, i.e. my mom, who's been going since she was a little kid, and she sees things change, and change immediately means bad because you can't play on the nostalgia piece of it. And it's such a nostalgia cooker, if you will. But like you just mentioned, Walt said, like, it's never going to be done. It's always going to keep moving on. I think that the biggest thing is still being able to, stick within its core values as it moves on, and not, they're in a very tricky spot because they've had success with implementing IP into the parks and making, these huge additions. I think DCA is a great case study for this with Buena Vista Street, is like an original IP-ish, type of thing. It's storytelling from the Disney story. But then you go to Radiator Springs, and that's, an IP there. Pixar Pier is great, and although that's not, a specific IP, it's like a collage of things. And I think that works a little bit better even because you can include so many things. So it's not fixated on one thing. But like Radiator Springs was a phenomenal addition, and they need to find that balance between being able to include IP in areas while also still have, their own original storytelling in certain things, like original parks characters. I mean, you look at obviously the more Disney nerds side of things, but like Cosmic Rays at Magic Kingdom is a fan favorite, and that's
yeah,
an original character, or things like that. So there's more that I know are out there. I can't think of specifically right now, but like Carousel of Progress, People Mover, those aren't IP related type things, and
right.
huge fan favorites too. So I think that's something they can't lose as they move forward. But I'm excited to see where they're going with that.
Real quick, Casey, what does Disneyland mean to you? Well,
Mm-hmm.
not real quick. I want a lot of detail.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate the lead in because I don't want to disrupt the flow. The Disneyland means to me, what it means to me, it's a place where anyone can go there, no matter your age, background, whatever your life story may be. You can go there. You can be a kid at heart. You can be as vulnerable as you want to be. It's a safe place. It's an escape from the real world to allow you to just to just exist and be happy. A place to connect families together. As much as people criticize Disney for, price gouging this, or, shady business deals that, or, what's been alluded to of going away from diverse, or emphasizing diverse storytelling with what Bob Iger, has said recently in the recent Abu Dhabi announcement and everything too. You know, there's some backlash with that. There's going to be backlash with everything. But at the end of the day, like Disney existing gives us all of these different things. If you just don't worry about the business part of it or whatever the intention of the business minds behind it, it's a place for people to come together to be their true authentic selves, to escape the stress of the world and enjoy the limited time we have here on Earth and to its fullest extent. So that's where it is, and all that's done through, you know, eloquent storytelling. Storytelling is probably one of my biggest passions out there because I'm huge into TVs and movies. Shout out the other event that Big Texas and I do over there, the other podcast. But
check us out,
like
Popcorn Movie Mania.
But storytelling's beautiful because it connects people from all these different backgrounds and different life stories that they've encountered that they wouldn't know. They are able to connect with someone from a completely other place in the world that has felt the same story that they had. And so it's a combination of human experience and bringing people together in the most like beautiful way. So that's what Disney is to me.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give my story real quick, and I think y'all can agree to this. If it wasn't for Disney, maybe not Disneyland, but Disney as a whole, would we have all met our wives?
Probably
Nope.
not.
100% wouldn't have.
So exactly. So there's Disney. I'm will always be eternally grateful because Disney is the reason why I'm married to my wonderful wife today. You know, the one thing I want to piggyback off what you said, Casey, is Disney World, Disneyland is a safe place. You know, it's you can be yourself without any judgment. Like I'm a proud Disney adult. I will wear that simple. I get excited every single time I go to Disneyland. Not maybe as much as going to Disney World these days, but Disneyland is something that I remember the first time I went was 10 years ago, and I just felt that magic. Even as a cast member, was installed back into me. Why I love Disney for Disney. You know, I think Disneyland does the little things very well. You know, and it just makes you like just keep wanting to come back. Every time I go to Disneyland, I feel like I've done something new. And like for instance, last time I went was with Brian. We went to the '90s party, and just that they're able to kind of, for the most part, they're not really changing much, but they can change. They can do an after hours party. They can be like, okay, that was cool. I would like to do something like that again. You know. It feels very timeless, but also refreshing in a way. Disneyland's my happy place. I wanted to make sure when I proposed to my wife that it was at Disneyland for a reason. So we would always have a special place for each other. And then I'm hoping, you know, when it's time for me to have kids, I get to take my kids, and that would be our place to, hey, you know what, Dad took us here. And, you know, when I'm gone, dead and gone, hopefully that's a way that they feel one step closer to me, you know, is with the parks, you know? Because even though I'm not physically there, I'm still there, you know?
All right.
And so that's why Disney, I'm always going to be a big Disney fan, you know, is I get to connect with my friends, maybe on a different scale, you know, where you can even catch them a little first-time visitors. You can catch them a little vertible. Excuse me, hard times pronounce. But it's just it's awesome. You know, can't beat it. Anytime we get to talk about Disney, it makes me feel like a kid again, and I feel like those were the best times. You know.
Yeah.
I think one thing you had said in there that I'll extrapolate a little bit on as a note that when it comes to all the theme parks that I've been to Disney-wise, which is just the domestic parks, plan on an Asia trip in a year or two from now to knock out a bunch of those. But maybe I need to wait a little longer and wait for Abu Dhabi to get built so I can just rope that in there too. But the Disneyland is different than any other park because you can truly feel the history. And when you step into there, it feels like you are, walking in the same steps Walt did, which that was the only theme park he ever saw fully open while he was alive. So, I mean, it's obviously the first, it's the only one he's been a part of, and you can feel the history of the park with each step you go in there, and it creates a whole different experience than any other theme park. Not
It's
that
like
every other park is automatically worse because of it, but it's just a different feeling you have compared to anything else.
it's like he never left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spirit's definitely there. I mean, you
Yeah.
feel it. So I mean, I love going to Florida. I love all four parks out there. You love the Universal parks out there. But
Mm-hmm.
there's something about going back to Disneyland, and specifically Disneyland Park, not so much DCA, but Disneyland Park has just this feel to it. That's just, maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's me, just maybe it's my home, whatever it is. But it just feels different. It just 100% feels different. History, I don't know what you want to chalk it up to, but yeah, you kind of do feel Walt's presence in that park. And you feel it somewhat in Magic Kingdom because a lot of that was his vision. But I just think,
Mm-hmm.
Walt spent so much time at Disneyland, and the importance of Disneyland can't be understated. I think the park almost failed, in year one. Like the park he almost went bankrupt. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would have bankrupt if this was a failure. It would have bankrupt Disney in general. Like the company would have ceased to exist if
Mm-hmm.
Disneyland isn't a success. Disneyland skyrocketed Disney into what it's become now, and that's credit to Walt's vision, because people told him not to do it. And against all better judgment, he went ahead and did it. Mortgaged his house, did everything he could to build this park, and where would we be without Disney? Like, where would we be without Disneyland? Well, what's our get? What
We
are
would
we
have to
doing to get
go.
away?
We would have to go to TV Disney,
We
Six
would
Flags.
we'd have to go to Magic. We'd have to go to Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying, it's the importance of Disneyland. I don't think could be understated in the world. I mean, look at it worldwide. Just what it means to so many people. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it did so well that it fostered 7 other resorts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big. I mean, yeah, it's maybe not accepted. Western culture is not always accepted everywhere, but for whatever reason, Disney is. It's either it's just, it has this magic about it, this feeling about it, that it's undeniable. And
It's the warmth that it brings people.
yeah, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's escapism. It's what, you look at people in Japan, they're grinding every day of their lives, and then they go to Tokyo Disney, and they put on Duffy ears, and it's
Work
the
hard,
best
play
trip.
hard, baby.
That's it. Yeah.
I will say this: seeing, because there's a show that I've seen in both Magic Kingdom and I've seen it in Disneyland, and I would say I it feels like it weighs a little bit harder on me in Disneyland, and that's the electrical parade. Like
Yeah.
I could care less seeing it at Magic Kingdom, but for some reason when it's at Disneyland, it just feels like that's the missing piece right there. So that's the puzzle piece that goes in, and it makes that park feel complete. Which is
Mm-hmm.
already complete. It's just the icing on the cake, etc. Um, yeah, I don't know why I wanted to say that, but I just wanted to say that.
I don't know, that music's undeniable in your head, though. Like, it's just, it'll
I
just
mean,
stick with you forever.
think
Yeah.
about it. You have to have electrical parade in order to have paint the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it walks so
You
it can
know,
run. So
yeah. So I would be, moving forward. We're gonna enjoy paint the night for a whole year in Disneyland, but we should probably have the electrical parade come back and move paint the night over to DCA.
I don't know how feasible that is, but I'll take whatever I can get right now, especially with Paint the Night, man. I just, that, not only that, but the soundtrack of that parade, plus the visuals, along with Wondrous Journeys, that soundtrack plus the visuals, and then even Phantasmic still going, like,
Did you
and
Mm-hmm.
then this new World of Color show that's coming. Man, nine times back at
did you see they
Disneyland.
released the 70th soundtrack? to
No, I haven't
Disneyland?
seen that. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
they
that.
released the 70th soundtrack.
If it's
Like
on
the
vinyl, I'll
Esplanade
buy it.
music and stuff, like the BGM music, or
I think so, probably.
yeah.
If it's on vinyl, I'm buying it.
I mean, I'm sure. When I start driving, I'm probably gonna play it on Spotify. I'll
Yeah.
find it. One
Mhm.
thing else I wanted to talk about. We are Casey. I don't know if you listened to our past video about Dubai, um, but what do you think? You think this was a good business move for Disney in the sense that now this gives Disney a whole bunch of liquidation to maybe add back into the Disneylands, the Disney World resorts?
Yeah, it's definitely a cash play. Like it's definitely a cash grab play right now. Obviously, the way the world's economy is still recovering from the pandemic and in one of its natural downturns. Every 15, 20 years or so, there's a boom and then a recession, boom, recession, and that's kind of how it goes in waves. And we're on a downturn, so I think they're looking for ways to save money, expand their footprint. Who knows what like we talk about Asia, right, and how they've kind of adopted Disney in a way. I can't say that I have any knowledge on how the Middle East is in terms of their relationship with Disney or these types of products in general, and where they go from there. So this could be an untapped market, so it could be a really good play for them. It's a good cash play because they're able to fund stuff here, like you had mentioned beforehand, and in general, just be able to. I think by doing this deal, it projects a level of strength to shareholders, and that's kind of where a large part of this comes from because they, obviously Disneyland for forever forward. I always get forever and forward mixed up because if forever was a show and forward's the next 10 years or so
Right, not 10 years.
of
That's
production
4
here.
decades. 4
Yeah.
decades. We're gonna be dead by the time Disneyland Forever is done.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
talking about that with somebody. Yeah, dude, they that parking lot looks like it's thriving right now. So
I think right now with the current political state of America, that going into that Abu Dhabi market, this is the best time they could have because of the obvious like LGBTQ plus laws that are in place in that country, and the rights that women have, things like that. It's not as progressive as a country, but we're not in a necessarily progressive state when it comes to our political climate. So it helps the negative PR backlash by announcing that right now and getting a lot of that out of the way before people kind of calm down from the idea a little bit, because the initial shock is going to be large, obviously, especially with no rumors, because I don't think there was anything I had been seeing. This was kind of out of nowhere, kind of Luka Doncic trade-esque
oh
type of thing going over there. So, I think it's interesting, but a very, very smart play from their side of things.
yeah, you think about like the United Emirates, like the what they've been able to draw over to their way. So like Live, you have the golf, um, the golf league that they've built.
Hmm.
You got like Ronaldo's gone to one of their teams out there and
Yeah.
played. The WWE's done business with them. Like there's money throwing. It's obviously big money
Hmm.
because the backlash, the PR backlash. They wouldn't do it if it was just whatever money. This is big money. They're this is bigger than the PR. This will offset any PR backlash that
Yeah.
Disney or that WWE would get going out there. That's why they do it, because the money's so big. So yeah, I think this helps us domestically, you know, for sure. I think the money that's getting thrown into this by I don't even know the company's name that's doing it. It's obviously going to be a similar situation to the Oriental Land Company out in Japan, where they're the ones that own the park, but Disney's building it. They're just funding everything.
Did you see
But
that it's gonna be a indoor park?
yeah, so
Yes.
that's going to be wild. But I mean, it's you have to. And I was telling Christian this our last podcast. Dubai and Saudi Arabia is becoming kind of like the new Orlando. They have so many theme parks out there now, and
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of like icing on the cake for them. They have a Six Flags park, they have a SeaWorld park, they have Warner Brothers park, they have just all
Mm-hmm.
these big major companies that are already over there, and being able to allure Disney out there, it's kind of like you're going to get a lot of people really interested in a Dubai trip.
So
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say this one thing. I did look into this the Six Flags park. Apparently, it never got built.
Well, it's getting built now.
It's actually not. So what happened was Six Flags had an agreement, and I don't know the name of the companies. The first company that it was just going to be like basically the theme park, the roller coasters of all roller coasters,
Right.
theme park. Well, they stopped making payments to Six Flags, so the deal got squashed. So
Mm-hmm.
then another company came to Six Flags, was like, "Hey, we want to build this park, but we want to build it differently." So then they made the agreement. So then I want to say a few years ago, it got squashed again due to COVID. Not saying that it couldn't happen, but I looked into it. I was like, that sounds interesting. I did look into SeaWorld, and their SeaWorld at Dubai is like, man, talk
It's
about
interesting.
next level.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what they could do over there, imagine what they could do with Disney. And Disney's like, hey, you know what? You have no restraints. You got a blank checkbook. Build what you want, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's why
It's,
Tokyo knocks it out of the park with how they execute on everything, because they throw whatever money, into it, and
Yeah.
everything looks better than probably, any theme park in the world, or any
oh,
Disney theme park in the world, at least. But
Fantasy, the small stuff I saw from Fantasy Springs, I can already tell you that's probably going to be one of the best lands of all time.
It might
If
be.
not, if it's not already.
Yeah, I was like, it might be. Everything I hear from feedback from that place is that that's the best land ever built.
mm-hmm.
One other thing I wanted to talk about, I found something very interesting on Twitter. And this kind of relates to what me and Casey does with Popcorn Movie Mania, but I want to throw it back for the theme parks. So apparently, Warner Brothers Discovery is looking to dissolve the company. So
Oh yeah.
essentially, Discovery wants to sell off Warner Brothers because of how much debt it's just brought on. I guess they weren't able to fix it for whatever reason. So, in years past, it looked like, and it's been continued rumors that what essentially was Discovery was going to always buy Warner Brothers, but they wanted to kind of do it like a fixer upper and flip it to a different company. And the company that's heavily implied that they want to flip it to is Comcast.
Makes sense. I mean, they have
And,
IPs in their park.
and so, Comcast owns Universal.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be something like, that's something that could be good for like a Universal, because now you completely own it. And
Yeah.
say Universal now owns a DC. Universal now owns Harry Potter outright. Owns all the Warner Brothers things. What do you think of that possibility for both the movie side and the theme park side?
I think Marvel Superhero Island is about to become DC Superhero Island.
So I also saw something interesting about that.
Green
And I don't.
Lantern coaster instead of a
Yeah.
Hulk coaster.
Yeah.
Don't even need
Pretty
to
much.
repaint it. Yeah.
No. Just keep going.
Yeah, I did see something. So apparently, I don't know which theme park YouTuber did this, but he looked into it. Apparently, Six Flags has a deal with DC or Warner Brothers for 2053 to use the DC and Looney Tunes properties into their land.
Yeah.
So, would this be if a Comcast was to own Warner Brothers? How do they just continue as business as usual, or do they try the hardest to try to get that stuff over to Universal?
I mean, I'm sure they could cut a deal where they grandfather that stuff in. I think with Six Flags, they could probably cut a deal. It's like, hey, we're just going to put this in our park. You keep using it, unless they don't want Six Flags kind of tarnishing that brand a little bit, and then like buy them out of that contract or whatnot. But it's a big deal for Six Flags. That's their biggest merch seller for Six Flags parks is like the DC stuff. So I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
how that's going to work.
I feel like it'll be something similar to how we saw Disney with Marvel, with obviously, Superhero Island down in Islands of Adventure for Universal in Florida, um, to where those existing characters were not allowed to be built upon. Like anything that was in the parks was not allowed to be touched by the new company coming in. So any specific DC properties that Six Flags has attractions for or merchandise for, things like that, um, they were oh, sorry, it glitched up for a second. I
Yeah,
thought I
we're
dropped
good.
out. Okay, cool. Yeah, like the existing, things they have, they're allowed to keep for the length of that deal, and then um, until the end of that deal, like even if they do acquire Warner Brothers, they're not allowed to build those things, but they can build the other things like Disney. That's why in Florida, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind was built, because that
Yeah.
wasn't a Marvel property that Universal Orlando did. But west of the Mississippi, they can kind of do whatever they want out here because it's so far removed and they're non-competitors with Florida, geographically speaking.
I
So I
just
think
don't
something
think
similar to that.
I just don't think DC has those type of IP right now.
Yeah.
To what I mean, like where it makes sense for Universal to like, yeah, that's fine, and then we'll just put in the alternate IP, but it's like, what are they going to put in there? You know?
Yeah. I think they probably do it and then see how well this James Gunn universe goes. And then if there's excitement from certain, secondary IP that comes from that, then they kind of move forward there. Because the Superman coaster, I believe, just was removed from Six
Magic
Flags,
Mountain.
correct? Yeah, Magic
Yeah,
Mountain. Yeah.
the Magic
So
Mountain. It hasn't been removed, but yeah, it has been announced that it's no longer going to run.
closed permanently. So
So
like that's
yeah,
something that could be a flagship thing at Universal here, but they don't have a lot of space for anything, let alone that,
yeah.
unless they get rid of the Simpsons land area. But even that, is one large attraction and sideshow games and stalls and stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's good for down the road. Like they can plan. I don't think anything immediate will come from it though.
I just wonder if they're going to look at the deal that Disney did with Fox and kind of like rethink it a little bit and just like, do we really want to do this? Do we want to jump into this debt?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
apparently
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers has a crap ton of debt. Like, so when they got bought by who did they get bought by AT&T? Apparently AT&T didn't do nothing for them, and so that's why Discovery bought it. And it just looks like it just looks like a circle. Nobody has got to like knows what to do with Warner Brothers as a whole. And I'm like, dude, Warner Brothers has like probably one of the most impressive libraries out there.
Oh yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And I know before Warner Brothers got bought off to AT&T, Disney had the opportunity to buy Warner Brothers, but they covered it Fox more, so that's why they
Yeah,
went with Fox over Warner Brothers. So to me, it's just interesting in both the movie world and the theme park world. What happens with Warner Brothers? I think moving forward, I think the best bet move for them would be to get bought by Comcast
yeah.
because Comcast just looks like they just have money they're willing to throw, and Comcast has this. I want to say they have this mindset right now is we want to be big players in movies and also in theme parks. So how does Warner Brothers would Warner Brothers help them out in a big way? And I think the answer would be yes.
Right.
Because now you get to own all their assets with the Warner Brothers Studios. You can even probably tie that in with Universal Studios over at Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Well, they're right next to each other, literally back up into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I would think if you did that, you could maybe see maybe a second version of a Halloween Horror Nights with Warner Brother properties because they did do a Halloween Horror Nights event
Yeah,
over at Warner Brothers
it was a couple of
before.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a Friday the 13th house, they did an It house, and they did the Batman Villains gallery, road gallery, And so I'm like, dude, why don't you bring that back? But if you got a Universal that knows what they're doing with something like that, they could probably get it ran even better.
Yeah.
I feel like, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go for it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, bringing him in also, I think there's, Warner Brothers does have like a large lot over there as well. But, if you include Universal's, lot, studio spaces, things like that, that's going to be a little bit more vertical integration and maybe help drop production costs for Warner Brothers a little bit, because if they're limited in space, they got to kind of outsource their filming, and if they can just stroll down the street to Universal side of things, that could help save them, even if it's $1 million per production and they're putting out 50 movies a year, that's $50 million right there, let alone, and not all productions are created equal, of course, so it's not going to work for every single one, and who knows with that. But that's just something else I can think of, like existing inventory that Universal has, that they think, oh, we bring them on, we have identified the problems they're having on why they're not being profitable, but it takes them trying to decipher that and make sure they understand what is the problem with it when they can't even figure out their own problems. So that's the biggest hurdle.
All right.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, do we have anything else before we get out of here?
Nope, I'm all good on my side.
Watch The Wildest Ride. Tell your friends. Like, subscribe, share. If you want to come on the show, just give me a holler on Facebook. We would love to have you on. Watch Popcorn Movie Mania. Actually, subscribe. Listen to Popcorn Movie Mania, because we are predominantly on Spotify. I know me and Casey, right now the movies have been we're on a little slow point until I think Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch. Friendship was supposed to come out this weekend, the Tim Robinson movie, but then it was surprise. Oh, it's only limited release, so that's a few weeks from now. So it seems like things are trickling back a little bit more, but the summer's going to be pretty crazy at the movies.
And then we got Final. You seen Final Destination?
Seeing it in 2 hours, my friend.
Dude, go post us a review on the page.
I got you. Final Destination. So, fun fact, this one debuted with a 93% Rotten Tomatoes score from critics.
Holy crap.
Yeah. The rest of them were all in the 30s, 40s. The highest, I think, was a 62% from what I looked, and that was the Final Destination 5 or so, like the last one. So they're definitely a little bit of a shift, and the hype behind it being back isn't just from, the funny slasher IP thing, but there might actually be some decent substance in it. So
a real sicko is making this movie.
Yep.
I've also haven't heard good things about the newest Mission Impossible.
There's another one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're going to keep making those movies till we die. Somehow Tom Cruise is going to outlive us with Scientology.
I was going to say Scientology has kept him 25 years old, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
A fun fact about that, Tom Cruise this year when that came out is older than Sir Ian McKellen was when the Fellowship of the Ring came out. So
that's crazy.
Tom Cruise on the side of airplanes, older than Gandalf in his old wizard self, running across the Shire. So
that's a crazy stat.
I love Instagram.
Real quick, we do upcoming stuff for both channels. I know we got. I was talking to Brian. We're gonna do a little series of the death of certain rides,
attractions, yeah,
nice.
and theme parks, and just how they got essentially to their ultimate demise. And me and Casey, I think we should work on something. Do like when we got slow times like this, do maybe a history of certain favorite blockbusters out there, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know next week I will definitely gonna go see Lilo and Stitch because I'm super excited about that movie.
I think Lilo and Stitch, is going to make in between 1.6 and 1.8 billion dollars. That's my hot take. That would put it above Inside Out 2 and make it the 9th highest grossing film in history.
Whew.
I think it's got the legs for that.
You know what? If you would have asked me this at the beginning of the year, I would have said you're crazy. But dude, I've seen nothing but a whole bunch of ads, product placement for Lilo and Stitch. That I think you might be right. I think Disney knows that. Oh, they're sitting on a landmine right here.
Oh, dude, like Stitch in general is such a big character in the parks and stuff like that. And now doing the live action, it's going to be the biggest live action movie. Like, it's going to be the best live action adaptation.
Mhm.
Isn't he the second most profitable Disney character?
Yeah, I think so.
He for a time when he came out for, I think I want to say 4 or 5 years after the original Lilo and Stitch, was the only character to ever beat Mickey Mouse in terms of sales for merchandise, like
Crazy.
ever in Disney's history. So that mixed with a story that isn't, like extremely white, like savior centric. It's, a story about, the, Oceania region, if you will. So it's going to be a story that's a little bit more accessible to the global audience on that. Mixed with that popularity, I think is going to make for a pretty crazy release with that.
And yet they closed his ride down.
That wasn't a ride, man. that was a...
Dude,
no.
So do you know the original history of that whole idea of that attraction?
Well, I know it was the alien encounter before.
Oh, before Alien Encounter.
No, I have no clue.
Well, that will be our first episode. We'll see you then.
Well,
do y'all
anything
have
else?
anything? I have nothing.
All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for this episode of the Wildest Ride
Casey,
podcast.
We appreciate you coming on with us. You're always welcome to come be a third chair on the show whenever you want.
I love being a third, so you'll see me more often.
be our tripod.
I love it. I'll be your unicorn. It's great. I'll be your death of a unicorn. There you go. There's the crossover collab.
But yep. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.